Hey there everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. So we are going to do a Pilates class today. For those of you that have done some of my other videos either on this channel or on our Borden channel, then you're probably fairly familiar, or if you've done Pilates outside of your training with the calf. For those of you that are completely new to it, it's a little bit about movement re-education. So teaching our body how to move through proper movement patterns by activating some of those smaller muscles that maybe don't usually get used properly, and basically just overall giving your body a better sense of integrity and strength and connection from head to toe. So it will be a lot of core stuff, so if you're looking to strengthen your core, this is an excellent workout for you. And then similarly, if you do have any injuries, there may be some things that we do today that will help those. Like any sort of workout, make sure that you just go through it slowly, take a listen to what your body is doing, and if you feel like anything is not feeling right, then either skip that portion or just stop the workout altogether and make sure you get some sort of doctor opinion before moving forward. But if you're fairly healthy and you just have a few aches and pains, hopefully this workout actually makes you feel a little bit better. Alright, so my name is Ashlyn, I am from CFB Borden, and I'm super excited to be working on this workout with you today. So, just to get started, I want you to find a place on your mat, alright, with your feet about hip-width apart, toes pointed forward. So this is our setup position. Okay, we're just going to start by taking a few deep breaths in. So breathing in, and out, and again, and out. One more time, feel like you're filling up your lungs. And out. Beautiful. Palms down by or hands rather down by your side, palms facing in. Raise your arms up towards the sky and back down. Good. Breathe in as you come up. Exhale as you come down. And notice how your shoulders feel. Are they cracking or clicking a lot? Or do they feel fairly smooth? Two more. And last one. Nice. At the bottom, palms are going to face forward, and you're going to make a snow angel as you come up to the sky and back down. Again, breathing in as you come up and exhaling as you come down. And once again, take a notice if your shoulders are feeling okay through this position, or if they sound like they're clicking or cracking a lot. Maybe this movement hurts a little bit, so only go through a range of motion that doesn't hurt. Let's go 3, and 2, and 1. Beautiful, and come back to your side, palms facing in. From here, we're going to go back to those arm lifts, but as you lift up, you're going to squat down and stand, bringing arms down. Squat, lift arms up, stand, lift arm, bring arms down. Again, breathing in as you come down, exhaling as you stand. Try to bring your gaze with you as you come down so that you're not cranking your neck forward, okay? Your neck always stays nice and long. And I want you to feel like your arms are getting really long in both directions. So they're reaching far away from you towards the sky and then reaching down towards the ground as you stand. 3, 2, 1, and release. Beautiful. Arms down by your side. Now you're going to nod your chin like you're saying yes. And you're slowly going to begin to roll yourself all the way down towards the floor. When you've reached your max distance, whether that's touching the ground or just touching your shins, take a deep breath in and exhale as you come all the way back up. Good. Deep breath in at the top, nod your chin and exhale to roll down. Moving vertebrae by vertebrae. Deep breath in at the bottom and exhale as you come all the way up. One more time, deep breath in, exhale down, breath in at the bottom, and exhale, come up. Nice. We're going to bring our arms up to the sky. And as you come down this time, I want you to roll your arms over a big imaginary barrel as you curve your spine. So I'll go sideways. Curve your spine over that barrel as much as you can. And then roll towards the floor. And then bring yourself back up, just as we did at the start, vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. Arms come up. Exhale, curve over that barrel, really bending your spine all the way down. And then just roll yourself back up like a rag doll. Last one, reach up. Exhale over the barrel, all the way down. Inhale and exhale back up slowly. Wonderful. You're going to stand at the end of your mat. So as long as you have a lot of space in front of you on the mat, you're going to nod your chin, roll yourself down vertebrae by vertebrae until your hands come to the ground. And if you need to bend your knees, that's completely fine, but just put hands flat on the mat. And then you're going to begin to walk yourself out slowly towards a plank position. And can you do it without rocking your hips too much? From this position, you're going to send your hips to the sky and then begin to walk yourself back up towards your feet, bending your knees as you need, and roll yourself back up. Nice. Deep breath in. Exhale, roll down. Bending your knees whenever you need to touch the floor flat. Walk yourself out, keeping hips nice and stable into a plank. Deep breath in here. Send your hips to the sky and walk yourself back up to standing and roll up. Beautiful. One more just like that. Nod your chin. Roll down. Touch the floor. Walk yourself out, keeping hips level. Find your core. Deep breath in here. Hips high. Walk back. And stand up. Beautiful. We're going to do one more, but we're going to pause down there instead of walking back up. So, nod your chin. Begin to roll down. Hopefully the hamstrings have loosened up a little bit and it's a little easier to get to the floor without bending as much as you did at the start. Walk yourself out, keeping hips nice and level. And pause in that plank position. Good. We're going to send our hips to the sky and then bring ourselves back into plank. Send your hips up towards the sky as you push with your hands. Try to drop your heels and then pull yourself back up to a plank. Push back high hips and pull to a plank. Good. This time, you're going to turn your knees outwards a little bit as you send your hips back. So your knees are on the outside of your body. You may slip a little, so just be careful. And then pull yourself back up. I'm going to do it from the front so you can have a better idea of where my legs are going. So knees send out to the outside, and you're pushing here. Knees out to the outside, and back. Good. Try to keep those knees off the floor if you can. If that's too much, you can set them down and sit back into those hips. One more. Hips go back. And pull up. Good. From here, just walk yourself back upwards and stand tall. Wonderful. Whew. Hopefully you're feeling a little warm now. I know I am. Good, so standing at the end of your mat again, we're going to get back into a similar position. So nod your chin, begin to roll yourself down. Hamstrings should feel a little looser. Walk yourself out and pause in a plank. If this is not going to work for your wrists, you can come down to your elbows, okay? We're going to take our right leg. That's my left. We're going to take our right leg, lift it off the floor, and then without moving our hips, can you bring it as close to your chest as possible? And then send it away and bring it to your chest. So when I say not moving our hips, I don't want to see this, where you tuck your spine, you tuck your pelvis. Okay, just keep your hips where they are and draw a leg in. Reach it really long like you're trying to touch the wall behind you and pull it in. And reach away and pull. Let's go 3 and 2 and 1. Set that foot down, hips to the sky, and walk yourself back up. Nice. If those wrists are getting tired, roll them around. If it's too much for your wrists because you have some sort of injury or they're just not quite strong enough to hold, come down to your elbows. Your knee just may have to come a little bit more underneath you to not touch the mat. So other leg, nod your chin, roll yourself down, walking out into a plank. Lift that left leg as if you're reaching it really far behind you, trying to touch the back wall. Then bend it towards your chest without moving those hips. Reach away, bend forward, reach, and bend, reach, and bend. Let's go 3 and 2. Remember to breathe. And 1. Bend in, bring it back to the floor, and then just lower your knees and sit back on your heels. Good. Come into an all fours position. So hands are under hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. And I want you to curve your spine towards the sky and then arc it down towards the floor. Curve up and arc down. So we're doing a cat-cow position here. And can you try to think about moving all of the vertebrae and your whole spine through your back as you go through these motions? Okay, one more in each direction. And then just settle in the middle of those two positions, so a fairly flat spine. You're going to get tall on your arm bones so that you feel like you're kind of pushing the floor away and you get a little active. Drop those shoulders down so they're not going to be shrugged up to our ears. And tuck your toes behind you. With your next exhale, can you hover your knees above the floor? Beautiful. Holding them here. Slide one leg out and then the other. Now we're back into a plank position. Can you keep your upper body stable and still as you drop both knees behind you to the floor and then reach them away? Tap them to the floor and reach them away. Tap and reach. Still thinking about getting really long with your legs as you go straight, and then keeping shoulders still as you bend down. Let's go 3 and 2. 1, tap and reach. Bring one knee back to a hover, then the other, and lower down. And sit back on your knees. Good. Roll those wrists out. Roll them in both directions. Good. And then make a fist and spread the hands wide. Fists wide. It's going to help those wrists feel a little better. 3, 2, 1. Good job, and shake it off. All right, guys. We're going to come onto our back. So you're going to lie down on your back with your arms flat on the floor. Feet are hip-width apart. Knees are bent. And just rock your knees from one side and then to the other. Side to side. Should feel fairly good on the back. one more on each side so you've evened out. And then just come into the center, knees pointed to the ceiling. So, you're going to take your attention to your hip bones, okay? And I want you to think about pulling those hip bones up towards your head so that your lower back pushes into the floor. Now your hips don't lift off, they still stay on the ground, but you're just pushing lower back into the ground. And then can you reach those hip bones away from you so that your lower back comes off the floor into a gentle arc? Okay, pull them towards your head, push lower back in, push them away from you towards your feet, lower back comes off. Okay, so move through those two positions, keeping your hips heavy on the floor so they're not actually lifting, even though you're rolling back and forth. And only go through a motion that feels good, that doesn't hurt your lower back at any point. For some of you, you may feel like you have lots and lots of movement here. Others may find this very challenging. Not necessarily anything wrong, just different movement patterns that we need to work on. Good. So now, if you can think about keeping this motion going, but getting really, really light on your feet. So the feet are going to lift, but I want you to see how light on those feet you can get. And when you do that, do you think you have to use more of your core and more of your abs to make this motion happen? So do a little test. If you push your feet into the floor, then you don't really need to use your core at all, right? The abs aren't really working that much. But if you get light on your feet, your core has to do all the work, because what else is going to make that motion happen, right? So let's just go for 3 more, and 2, and 1, and release. Very good. All right, take a few deep breaths here. Arms are going to be down by your side, but palms facing hips. And can you raise them up overhead, just like we did when we were standing, and back to your sides. Go inhale as you come up. Exhale as you come down. Do you notice that the clicking is the same as when you were standing, or is it a little better or a little worse? Just go through a motion that's pain-free. Nice. And last one, you're just going to pause up towards the sky. So, can you find that lower belly? So think about kind of drawing your belly button into your spine or towards the floor. And can you raise one leg to the sky, or not to the sky, but up off the floor in 90 degrees and lower it down. And then switch sides to the other leg and lower it down. Lift, lower, and switch sides. Lift, lower, switch, and lower, switch, and lower. And can you think that those hip bones that we were pointing to before are staying very still? They're not moving from side to side. So if I relaxed and I didn't use my core at all, my hips would bounce around like this. Now obviously I'm over-exaggerating, but if you draw a belly button in and keep your lower belly very tight and strong, you can lift those legs without affecting the rest of your body. And now your hips are moving independently and on their own, using all of the muscles in the hip and the core to make the movement happen. And so we're creating some stability in our pelvis and our lower spine, and we're creating a little bit of mobility through those hips, even though it's a small motion. Good. Bring your first leg up, so whichever one you started with, and hold it. Now, as you lower that leg, you're going to bring the other one up at the same time. So now they're switching mid-air instead of letting them settle on the floor. Good. Remembering to breathe as you switch. Can you keep lower belly very stable and just a very small space under your lower back? So try not to arc it way up so that you can fit like a hand underneath. I want you to feel like there's just maybe a finger or two of space as you switch. If this is super challenging for you, your hands can come down to provide a little bit of support. Let's go 3, switch, and 2, switch, and 1, switch, and lower both feet and arms. Good, and rock your knees from side to side. Nice, bring them back up, and you're going to straighten those legs out straight, so your full body is lying on the floor. Arms are down by your side, palms flat. Can you nod your chin here, just like we did when we were standing? Reach your hands long, like you could try to touch your toes, and start to curl yourself up into a crunch. So palms are still on the mat, but my shoulders, my head, and my neck are all off. Good, and roll back down. Nod your chin, and roll all the way up, reaching arms really long, and come down. If this feels like too much work in the front of your neck, you can also do it with your hands behind your head. So nod your chin, and roll yourself up. And come down. Good. Elbows lift if you're doing it behind your head, and roll up. Otherwise, arms are reaching long. Next time, you're going to roll up and pause here. So holding those shoulders and head off the floor. Again, if it's too much, have your hands behind your head. Let's hover those hands off the mat. So now your hands are no longer touching, head, neck, and shoulders is no longer touching. And you're going to reach your legs really long away from you, as if you're trying to get as tall as possible. And just breathe here. And breathe. Can you think about pushing your ribs into the floor? 3, and 2, and 1, and come all the way back down. Really good. Now, if you haven't had your hands behind your head before, now we're going to bring those hands there anyway. Raise your elbows slightly so that you can see them in the corners of your eyes. Nod your chin. And I want you to reach your elbows towards the sky from your armpits. And curl yourself up. So still keeping lots of space between your shoulder and your ear. And you're thinking about reaching your forearm really long towards the sky. And you should feel more core connection as you do this. Holding here, you raise your right leg off the floor and lower. Raise left and lower. Raise and lower. Raise and lower. Good. And as you switch from side to side, since your head is up, you can see those hip bones. And do you notice that one falls to one side when you lift, or the other? Or can you keep them nice and stable and level? So pay attention to that. If they are rocking from side to side, I want you to pull the hip bone that's up, down. Okay? Pulling it towards the floor. Switch. And switch. One more on each side. Good. Leg comes down and uncurl. Whew. Abs are working very hard. Arms are going to come up towards the sky. And I want you to bring your legs very close together so feet and knees are touching. Nod your chin. Roll up part way. And you're going to continue to roll all the way to seated. So where you get stuck, squeeze your legs together as you roll all the way up to seated. Good. Keep squeezing those legs together, trying to keep them heavy on the ground. Rock back off of your hips and roll all the way back down to the floor. So we did pretty much the same thing in standing, but now it's a little harder because gravity is working against us. Nod your chin, roll yourself up, squeeze your legs together as you come all the way back up. Good job, rock back, roll down, squeeze those legs. Good, last one here, guys, nod your chin. Begin to peel yourself up as you reach your arms away, squeeze your legs, and come upright and relax. Really good. All right, you can sit back on your hands a little bit and just rock your knees from side to side in a seated position. All right, we're going to come back into that lying down position with our knees bent. Arms are down by your side here. Feet are about, 6 inches or so from your bum, and feet and knees are in line with your hips, okay? So don't bring them too close together or too far apart. Somewhere in the center. You're going to take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, just push your hips up towards the sky. And lower down. And exhale, push to the sky. And lower down. Good. Exhale, push. And lower. Push. And lower. Good. And as you're moving through this position, I want you to think about really opening up your hips and extending those hips to the sky as best you can. If you're feeling any pinching or pain in your lower back, I want you just to turn your feet outwards a little bit so that your feet are going to be more like a frog or like a duck or so turned outwards, okay? And just see if that helps take some of that lower back pressure out. Good. So everyone else is pushing with parallel feet. Those of you with lower back pain, turn outwards. Good. And on this next one, you're going to pause up at the top. And before you come down, I want you to start from your ribs. So you're going to push your ribs down into the floor and begin to roll all the way back down, one vertebrae at a time. And then push to the sky and roll down again. 2 more like that. Push up towards the sky. Push ribs down and roll back to the mat. Last one, push up and then roll down. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. This time push hips up and pause here. All right. You're going to find your hands, turn palms to your hips. And you're going to lift those arms up off the floor, back behind you, and down to your sides. And up overhead, and down to your sides. Inhale, come up and over. Exhale, down. Keep hips up. Good. So we're finding lots of activation along the back of our body. You should feel glutes, hamstrings, calves maybe even. And we're really lengthening out the front of our body. Let's go 3 and 2 and 1. I want you to pause just slightly overhead. So not touching the floor, but reaching to the wall behind you. And then you're going to lift one heel off the floor. Toes stay down, heel lifts. And then switch to the other foot. And switch feet. So you're marching your heels back and forth, side to side. And can you keep those hips nice and level as you do it? And really reach your arms nice and long. 5, switch, 4, switch, 3, and 2, and 1. Pause up here, bring your arms down to the floor, and lower those hips. Good, and just rock knees side to side. Really good, guys. All right, feet are back in place, knees are to the sky. Deep breath in. Now as you exhale, can you push your hands into the floor, push your feet in, and lift your hips up. Good. You're going to push extra hard with your right arm and your left foot, and your right foot is just going to come to tabletop. Nice. Lower it down. Find light weight on the other foot now, on your left foot, by pushing opposite arm and foot into the mat, and raise. So you're stabilizing with that opposite arm and leg as you lift one leg. And switch. And switch. And switch. Good. For those of you that want a little bit of a challenge here, when you lift your leg, you're going to bring opposite arm out to up overhead, and then lower both. And then switch, and switch. For those of you that feel like this is just a little bit too much, just stay by lifting the foot. You can even just hover it off the mat. It doesn't have to come all the way up. Breathing in both directions. Last one here. Good, arms down, and come all the way back down. Beautiful, and just give your knees a little bit of a hug and rock them from side to side. You're going to roll onto your side here, guys. Push yourselves up. We're going to be on our elbow. So your elbow is right underneath your shoulder. When you relax and feel like you're kind of at like a picnic, for example, your shoulder should be past your elbow. But as soon as you get nice and tall and long, it should be right underneath your shoulder should be right over top of your elbow. Okay? So that's kind of how you want to gauge where to put your arm. So if I relax, my shoulder goes over. If I get nice and tall, it comes right over top. Okay? Your knees are bent, so feet are not going to be in front of you. They're going to be bent like back behind you. And knees are just a little bit in front of your body. Okay? So if I were to go sideways here, you would notice that my knees are in front of my body. I know it's hard to see on a camera, but they're not in line. They're in front. Okay? So I want you to put your hands under your ribs, or your one hand under your rib, and I want you to pull those ribs up as you arc up towards the sky. And then relax and release. And pull them up as you arc up to the sky. And release. Pull to arc. And release. One more. Pull to arc. And release. And notice how you need your core on the side of that body to be able to make that movement happen. Okay? So I want you to get nice and tall, almost like you're really trying to pull those ribs upwards on their own. Can you push your knees into the floor and lift your hips up off the mat? And lower those hips down. Push your elbow and your hand into the floor, knees in, hips lift. And lower. Good. Push up and lift. And is there lots of space between your shoulder and your ear? And are you pulling your armpit down towards your hips? So if you could squish your hips and your armpits together, that's what I want you to think about. Good, and lower. And last one, lift up. We're going to hold it here. Take a deep breath in. One more time. And lower. Beautiful. If this is getting ever too much for your shoulder, at any point you can come out of it. If it's getting too much for your neck, turn your head to look down at the floor. That's going to release some of the pressure in your neck, okay? So back into this position. Top leg now is going to come out straight in line with the body. Bottom knee is still bent. Okay? Deep breath in. You're going to push up and lift your hips. Good. If this is enough for you, I want you to stay here. Everyone else, I want you to lift that top leg off the floor. And lower the leg without lowering the hips. Lift the leg, lower the leg. And lift. Good. Again, if you need to release your neck, look down. Keep that leg reaching long as if you're trying to get really tall through crown of head and toe on the lifting leg. Lift and pause. Beautiful, guys. You got this. Get really long, reach leg long, reach head long. And then swing that leg slightly forward in front of your body. Point your toe and pull that leg slightly back behind your body. Flex your foot. Kick forward. Point your toe. Pull back. Flex and kick. Point and pull. Flex and kick. Point and pull. Let's go. 3 and 2. Breathe. And 1. Breathe. Lower the leg and the hips. And sit up. Whew. Roll that shoulder out. Good. Before we switch sides, just come onto your knees if this is comfortable. If not, you can come up to like a tall kneeling. And I just want you to raise your arms to the sky and back down. And do you notice that the shoulder that we just worked, so the one that we were stabilizing on, can you tell if it's clicking less or cracking less than the other one? Or less than it did at the start? Now that we've warmed it up and we've moved it and we've stabilized it, hopefully it doesn't have quite as much clicking as it did before. All right, other side. So starting on your elbow, knees are bent, knees are just slightly in front of your body, and your shoulders right over top of your elbow when you're tall on it. Okay, grab those ribs and curve them up, and down, and up, and down. One more. Good. And then just get really tall. Okay, so you're reaching your crown of head towards the wall behind you, and you're thinking about reaching your hips the opposite way, and you're just getting very, very tall and long through your body. Okay? Push that elbow and hand into the floor, as well as your knees, and lift your hips off the floor. And lower. Lift, and lower. Lift, and lower. Good job, guys. Lift and hold. Find an extra breath for me. Can you pull armpit towards your hip? Get really long and open from your ear to your shoulder. And release. Beautiful. Top leg is going to go out straight. If you need to adjust on the mat, feel free. Okay. So we're really long now through the tips of our toes and the crown of our head, or the sole of our foot and the crown of our head. Pushing nice and hard into that hand and elbow and your knee. Can you lift those hips off the floor? Good, you're going to pause, and if this is enough, you're going to hold here. Otherwise, you're going to lift that leg and lower it. Can you keep that hip nice and long and open, and don't sit back and bend the hips? Okay, really, really long and tall, pushing hips forward. Good, if it hurts your neck, turn down and look at the floor. And pause here. Good. Do a little kick forward for me. Point your toe. Pull back behind you. Flex as you kick forward. Point as you pull back. Flex forward. Point back. Good. Lots of breathing. In one direction, out the other, whatever feels natural. 3 and 2 and 1. Lower the foot and come down. Good. Push yourself up. Roll those shoulders both directions. Good. Neck side to side. Saying no and saying yes. Just move it around a little bit. Really good. We're almost done here, guys, so hang with me. We're We're going to come back onto hands and knees. So you can do this on your elbows if you need to, but unless you have a serious wrist injury, I want you to try to do it on your hands, okay? Hands are going to come right underneath your shoulders, knees are right underneath your hips. Okay, and just do a few cat-cows here, so curving spine up, arcing it down like we did earlier. This should feel fairly good on your spine too, especially since we just stabilized it a ton. And then settle in the center. All right, you're going to push the floor away so you get nice and tall, and drop those shoulders down a little bit so that there's space between your ears and your shoulders. And all I want you to do is push your left hand in from your fingertips to your wrist and raise your right hand off the floor. Super simple. Lower it down. Now push that right hand in, fingertips as well, and raise the left. So I'm pushing my hand in with a nice flat hand. Fingertips are a little wide, and I'm pushing my fingers in as well as my wrist, and that takes some pressure off the wrist. Okay? Switch sides, so left is pushing, right is lifting, and switch to lift. Good, and do you notice that when you lift a hand, the lower abs on the side of the hand you're lifting need to work a little bit harder. So when I push my right hand in and lift my left, this left side has to work really hard to do that. Okay, see if you can feel that difference. And one more time on each hand. Remembering to push your fingertips in as well as your wrist. And lower. Good. Even out on both hands. Now you're going to raise your right this time and reach it in front of you. Pause and breathe here a little bit. Can you send your opposite leg back behind you to a hover? Good. Keeping leg and arm straight. Can you lower them both down just to tap the floor and reach away? Tap and reach. So we're staying on the same side here. And do you feel that your core has to work a ton to hold you here? Okay, this is the usual bird dog that we can see in a lot of classes. But it's a little harder when you do it this way, eh? Good job, guys. Again, reaching really long, so fingertips are reaching away, toes are reaching away. You're getting tall on that stabilizing arm and leg. One more. Good, lower down and bring them back in. Good. And you can roll that wrist out a little bit that we were just on and shake it out if you need to. We'll do the other side. So back into that position. You're going to get heavy on your right hand now and hover your left and reach it out in front of you. Pause here to hold. Send your left leg back so toe is touching, and then raise. Can you feel like you squeeze your glutes or your bum in the back of your leg to really keep that leg lifted? And then tap your hand and your toe and reach them away. And tap hand and toe and reach. Can you lift your leg from your bum and your hamstring, so bum and back of leg, not just from the toe and the foot. Reach and reach. Two more. Last one, getting really tall on the hand and knee that are stabilizing. Come down and relax. Good, and reach back as you sit on your heels. And just take a deep breath in here. Good, and come up. Nice. You're going to come up to a seated position, so whether that's on your knees or sitting in a cross-legged, whatever's most comfortable for you. Okay. And I know your hands are probably going to hit the floor if you're sitting like this, but just try to maybe make a fist. You're going to raise your arms up to the sky and back down. hopefully now that we've worked both arms and shoulders, that clicking has gone away a little bit. One more. And relax. Good. So if you're kneeling, your hands can just, if you're seated like this, cross-legged, your hands can just stay here. If you're kneeling, you may want to cross them over your chest just to get a better feel. And we're going to rotate from side to side. So you're going to take opposite hand to opposite knee, and rotate, looking over your shoulder, and then come back and switch sides. Inhale as you rotate. Exhale as you come to the middle. One more on each side. Nice, this is the last one for me. Okay, just so you're even. Hands are going to come behind your head. You're going to sit up nice and tall. And I want you to flex forward from your ribs, so not from your head, so you're not tugging on your head. You're flexing forward. And then you're going to extend up towards the sky as you raise your breastbone towards the ceiling. So I'll go sideways so you can see my spine bending. So flex forward from your ribs, and then extend back up towards the sky with your breastbone. Flex forward and extend. Try not to put any pressure on your head with your hands. They're just there to go for the ride. Last one in each direction. Good. And release. Excellent. So the last thing we're going to do here is just take a couple really deep breaths. And what I want you to think about is really filling up ribs at the front, ribs at the side, and ribs at the back. So the whole rib cage is really expanding and contracting. Okay, so just take a normal breath to start. And then we're going to take a really deep breath. So, and breathe it all the way out. And can you feel like everything is expanding? Two more, just like that. Good, last one. Nice, and just take a normal breath and relax. Excellent. Really good job today, guys. I hope that you feel like that was a good workout for your body and that your body is thanking you, even if it's tired. Okay? Again, just making sure that anytime you do these kind of workouts or any workout, that you're only going through a range of motion that doesn't hurt. So even though we're kind of pushing some of those limits, I want you to make sure that you stay within the pain-free range of motion, and that you take a break when you need. Okay, it's really important for your body to work within those limits. If you do have any comments or questions, please leave them in the section below, and we'll make sure that we answer them. If you are in Borden, then make sure you reach out to our fitness office if you really enjoyed this workout, and we can make sure that we get your unit in for that as well. All right, thank you so much, guys. Bye.